hello there.
Okay.
Well, hello.
Hello.
How is everybody?
Doing good today.
Doing excellent.
Where are we on video right now? Do you know, Zach?
We are on twitch.tv/freeplayarcade.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Twitch.tv/freeplayarcade.
Are we like Facebook Live or anything
No,
like that?
I don't think we're on Facebook. We're on,
Okay.
I think if you look under like Street Fighter 2 on Twitch, which is like a gaming site,
Yeah.
you'll actually find us talking about beer while people are watching people play Street Fighter.
Nice.
A classic combination.
Nobody playing Street Fighter at the moment, but
Not yet, but I'm sure there will be people
There
over
will
there.
be.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
I see a few players around.
Oh yeah, I had some people on Third Strike a minute ago, but they probably will switch over immediately once I'm gone.
We should probably do some introductions. Zach, why don't we start with you, since you are the free play contingency here.
Yeah, I guess I am the free play employee currently, at least on the podcast.
The only free play employee there. Are no
No,
other
gosh,
people.
Yes.
jeez, man, if I, no, I'm a bartender over at Free Play Arlington, where we're at right now, and I mean, between all of the beer that we have and rotating drafts and everything, they keep me busy, just kind of keeping up with the entire beer industry, or however much I can keep up with it.
Cool.
We like to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Keep you guessing, essentially.
Not just you specifically, just everyone at the same time.
It was a very
It's a
general
collect-
we,
yeah,
as
it's a
in like all
collective
of the beer people that are out here
yeah,
at DFW.
yeah.
Well, I guess I'll talk next. I'm Chad Montgomery. I'm a free play regular, also a Street Fighter 2 player, and
A pretty good one at that.
Oh, thanks, man. There's a lot of people better than me, but I hold my own. And then I started Big Texas Beer Fest back in 2011, and starting in August, we are opening a coffee shop and beer bar named Civil 4, which you are going to see on the graphics, which Chris has done a nice job of.
Yeah,
So thank you for that.
Yep.
And last but certainly not least,
I am Davis. I'm the Texas rep for Epic Brewing. I run all of Texas, and that keeps me fairly busy, I would definitely say.
all of Texas.
Yeah, I know. It's Texas. It's a small state, right? So-
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Very small.
How many miles on your car? Just
Geez, don't ask me. My car is actively trying to kill itself. Like, so, too bad I love it too much to let it go. We're a brewery out of Denver, Colorado, originally from Salt Lake City, Utah. And we used to be the exclusive producer in Utah of high ABV beers, but we have a portfolio of over 70 beers now, so we produce a wide variety of items that we send all over the country. So,
And you guys are doing an event or something tonight at Free Play,
yeah,
right?
so tonight we actually did. They were featuring 3 of our beers on tap. Our Rhino Juicy American Pale Ale, which is brand new, just came out a smidge over a month ago.
A rework of the Rhino, right? This is a new version of the Rhino.
Yes, this is a rework of the Rhino. We came out with the Rhino to celebrate getting into the Rhino Arts District in Denver, which is River North for those who don't know.
Okay. Really cool neighborhood.
Yeah, it is. There's actually like 17 breweries or something there now, and a couple of cideries and wineries. It's great if you want to like go to Denver and have a drink. You can just park your car and wander from brewery to brewery.
Which is true of many
I was
neighborhoods.
gonna say
in
Dallas.
Yeah, it's
Dallas
true.
is getting that way too.
It almost is, which is actually kind of awesome. But yeah, the Rhino, we just retooled it and came out with it in Texas about a month ago. We've also got our Tart and Juicy Sour IPA, which has been a huge hit for us.
I love that
kettle
beer.
soured IPA. I know that's what you're drinking right now.
So
which is
good.
awesome. And then we also have our Los Locos Mexican Lager with lime juice and sea salt. All of those are on draft. And the event that we're kind of doing is we're doing a bit of a prize giveaway. We've already given away some shirts and a hat and some glasses. But essentially it was a challenge the rep event. So you could buy the beer and get a raffle ticket, or you could challenge me to a game. And I am not the biggest gamer in the world, so this was actually kind of great because it was almost guaranteed you'd beat me and get a raffle ticket. So it was,
do you play any games in particular?
I do, but I mostly I do some like PC gaming. So I played a lot of like Call of Duty. I haven't played a whole lot of games recently, but I definitely find myself drawn to all the shooters. So I found myself like at the Richardson one, which is not far from where I live.
Same here.
Yeah,
I live over there too.
Yeah, exactly. I play a lot of like Area 51 there. I was super excited to see that you guys got Time Crisis 3 because Time Crisis is one of like the most amazing shooter games.
That's the first one I remember like shooting off the screen to sort of reload. I know there were probably a couple that preceded it, but it's the one
that was the one where you actually didn't do that. It has the foot pedal.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
It has the foot pedal where it causes you to duck.
That's what it was. It was like you had like a cover system in the game. It was really strange.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can essentially dodge bullets, which is kind of cool. Because they flash red and shoot at, and actually come at you. Because you can have guys that just shoot at you all day long and they will never hit you. And then one flashes red and you're like, oh god, duck. But yeah, that game was always amazing, and I love every iteration of it from the first Time Crisis, and I think they're on to 5 now. I don't go to arcades other than free play too often, so it's like
it's really
I'm not even sure.
The best arcade in DFW, I think. So.
Oh, I'm in total agreement.
I don't know why you'd go to any other arcade.
I know. I had a date at one like 3 weeks ago or something.
Very nice.
She hadn't talked to me since. So.
See, because you went to the wrong arcade. That was the reason.
No, I went to free play.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you went to another arcade.
No.
Come on, man.
No, I went to free play.
Well, Davis, I put together some stuff about the brewery and some kind of the. I don't know if if you want to talk about Epic or anything if you want to kick it off. I mean, you're much more of an expert than I am about this.
I am happy to talk about anything and everything. All Epic. What I suppose I should really ask, like, what you guys want to know about us. I would love to help answer any questions you wanted to know and any information. But some of the cool stuff about us, we got a lot of like inside jokes for the names of our beer, which are awesome.
Oh, cool! That is stuff I don't know about.
Like, yeah, one of the fun
I can't
things
learn that about going to your website. So we'd love to hear stuff
like there's stuff. I love it and hate it at the same time because I think the owner of our company, Dave, who's an awesome guy, he thinks he's really funny and he has all these inside jokes and then he names the beers after these jokes and nobody gets it. It makes for great storytelling.
Yeah.
But naming the beer the Big Bad Baptist, nobody has any idea why it's named that. We also have like the Elder Brett Saison, the Brainless series, stuff like that are all named after.
I've always had an idea maybe why it was named Big Bad Baptist.
All right, I want to hear what you have to say about that kind of thing.
So y'all were originally based out of Utah.
Yes.
So there's a large Mormon population in Utah. So would that imply that the Baptists were like, the Big Bad Baptists in Utah because of that, or was it something else?
To be honest, you're actually not that far off.
Okay.
Like, you're not that far off, but the story actually goes. So the original making of this beer was paired with a coffee roaster, because this is a coffee chocolate stout. So we paired it with a coffee roaster named Jack Mormon Coffee Roasters.
Okay. And was he a Mormon or did that?
No, he was just being a jerk.
Oh, okay.
And so we paired up with this guy to make it, and so it was originally named the Jack Mormon Coffee Ale. And much like here in Texas with the TABC, you have to submit what's called the UDABC, which is the Utah version of that.
Okay.
And from what I'm told, they apparently have it's super tricky to get stuff past them because they have like 6 or 7 Mormons on this panel of 12 people that don't drink.
Right.
And so the idea of trying to get a beer past people who don't drink is like, all right, well, good luck. But they immediately saw the name, the Jack Mormon Coffee Ale, but you wrote us this like scathing letter. You can't put religion on a label. How dare you? That's blasphemous, and you're just terrible people burning.
Did they really use blasphemy?
I've never read the letter. This is what I'm told, so that's all I can go off of. And so we it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
Yeah, exactly. And so we immediately our owner Dave, the guy I was just talking about, grew up Baptist, and so. We decided to just kind of name it after him, the Big Bad Baptist, and
that passed mustard somehow, or
that's hilarious. Is we were like, yeah, exactly. We were like, oh, that's not hypocrite like that. They were like, okay, that one's fine as long as it doesn't say Mormon in it, like just completely clears
exactly
it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So it was this whole ongoing joke of like the Big Bad Baptist was this beer that we couldn't pass as the Jack Mormon Coffee Ale, but as soon as we renamed the Baptist, they were like, oh yeah, we don't actually care about religion, we care about our religion. So it was its own whole thing, which was pretty humorous.
And so now there's all kinds of different Baptists.
Yes. So Big Bad Baptist was, of course, the one that started it all.
Right.
And then since then, we decided to tinker and play around with it, and so we came
Son
out
of a Baptist, right? That's
yes,
another one.
the Son of a Baptist was a huge hit.
And that
just makes me laugh.
I know.
So you son of a Baptist.
yeah, that's
son of
a right.
I was so happy. So they actually named that my second week on the job, and so for the first 2 weeks of the job, they sent me to Denver for a week and then Salt Lake City for a week, and they had me sit in on a variety of meetings, and one of the meetings I sat on was called the New Beer Commission, and it's we try and figure out what do we want to brew, how much do we need to brew of it, and what do we call it. And so we had a beer called the Little Brainless on. We had the Brainless on Raspberries, and we had the Little Brainless on Raspberries.
Okay.
Which is a toned down, more summery version. And so while trying to tone down the Baptist, we'd been calling it they had taken to calling it the Little Bad Baptist, and kind of nobody really liked that, but it was just like a working title for a little while. And I was sitting in this meeting, and somebody kind of blurts out, "All right, we've got to come up with a better name for this son of a Baptist." That's what we have to go with. and just the whole room erupted in laughter, and it stuck. The Son of a Baptist was born.
But I mean, that works perfectly for what that beer is.
Yes.
I mean, it's what, a 6 or 7?
It's a full 8%.
Oh, okay. Man,
but Big Bad is
it's
11?
like 12 to 13. Yeah, it's big and bad.
Nice.
But yeah, Son of a Baptist is a non-barrel aged coffee focused edition. And what's actually really cool about it is that we did, I think, 19 different batches of it. And so the one that came down to Texas is all made with cultivar coffee here local to
and that was
DFW.
so much better than some of the other versions of that beer.
And so how hard is it to source 19 coffees from across the nation? Do they hit you up and be like, "Hey, we're looking for somebody who does coffee locally. Can you send us some test batches?" Or
kind of. They had since we had just branched into the Texas market, they had started reaching out to people before I got hired.
Okay.
And so randomly, 2 months into the job, I got a call saying "Hey, go talk to these guys over at Cultivar." And I got kind of the lowdown. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I had no idea. But I got kind of the lowdown of everything that they.
We can change that, Dave.
Yeah. I bet you can.
If you can drink dark beer, you can drink coffee.
That's true. The funny thing is I like cold coffee. I actually like hot coffee.
Sure.
I can't do it. But somebody's like, "Here, have this." You can pretty much put black coffee in front of me and it's ice cold, and I'm like, "Great, this is delicious." But so I can drink Son of a Baptist all day long, love it. But somebody's like, "Here, have this nice hot cup of coffee." I'm like, "No, you can keep that."
Anyway, they were sourcing you for this cultivar coffee.
I know. I felt really bad because they were like, "Here, let's make you a cup of coffee with the roast that we actually are providing." And I took a sip of it, and I'm muscling. I feel so mean saying this. I'm just not a coffee drinker, so no offense to the Cultivar guys. It's me, not them, because apparently they make some wonderful coffee from what I'm told.
They do. They're one of my favorite local roasters.
But I'm muscling down this cup, just trying to be polite, and I'm just like, I can't. This is no. But they've been a wonderful partner with us. We've done a batch of Son of a Baptist Cultivar edition every year that we've come out with it. We even had a Big Bad Baptist with Cultivar back in 2015, which was really cool.
That was so good.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And so we like to branch into new markets, and we'll find a roaster there. So when we got into California, or kind of relaunched in California, we used Dark Horse Coffee out there.
Are there any chances to? Do you think that they will do another Texas-specific version with a Texas roaster? Because for me, I thought that beer was maybe twice as good as some of the other versions of Big Bad Baptist that had.
There is always the opportunity to do that.
But nothing specific that you know of.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing has been set in stone yet. I'd love to tell you, we're gonna do one with this coffee producer. I know I'm friends with, and my boss is friends with a guy at a Austin roaster, and they've had conversations about. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to make any promises or anything.
Right.
But I know that they've talked about the potential of doing something. But
everybody talks about doing something, but
right, just nothing's come to fruition. So I'm like, all right, well, don't go counting your chickens yet. But I would love to do do a version with them.
Yeah.
So that would be a lot of fun.
I just remember that beer sold really, really well.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, I think I personally bought 3 of them, and I hardly actually ever find myself at the beer store these days because I just have so much beer at the house.
Yeah.
You know,
So
being a collector.
the beer collectors.
I'm running into that
That's how it
issue.
goes,
I'm running into that issue a little bit. I kind of might have bought a couple dozen too many stouts over the winter, and now I'm like,
I don't know if there's such a thing as too many stouts.
Oh, yeah.
That you can hang on to that for a
I'm
while.
kind of looking at some of this stuff like, I probably need to drink at least some of this to clear some room for next year.
I know, you tell yourself that. The funny thing is I kept collecting all these beers and setting up these verticals, and I now have 3 refrigerators, and 2 of them are just entirely
So I
beer.
just need to buy another fridge.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 fridges as well. Actually,
Yeah.
one dedicated to beer, and the other one's a food fridge, which is
probably has
not
a lot of
allowed
beer.
to have beer in it.
Oh, really?
But the beer fridge broke, so it currently has beer in it, much to my wife's dismay.
Yeah.
I have a wooden trunk. It's like a foot. It was like a Foot Locker almost. It's just filled to the brim.
What does that mean, Foot Locker? I mean, I know the name of the store, but what's
It's it goes on the foot of your bed, so it's actually it's
okay.
a military term to go. The
I see.
foot of your bed has a locker in it that you keep all your stuff.
Right.
But instead of a Foot Locker, it's like a giant wooden trunk, and I'm not fancy enough to own a refrigerator living in a apartment. So
Well, but, man, as long as you're keeping it dark and
it's-
relatively cool, it's not stored on your patio or something, the beer's going to probably be fine.
I'm seeing a question here on the stream. Will I be giving the beer room back when the other fridge is fixed? Absolutely, because that means I have more food in the fridge, and I like food a lot.
Food is good.
I'm not a small boy, so I do like to have as much as possible.
So, talking about different batches, what's the idea behind switching the hops all the time on New England style?
There's a couple of different reasons. Number one, it allows us just to innovate, and some people might like, batch 1 more than they like batch 2.
I see it on
do you got?
on the stream here, the can.
Yeah.
Is it always that color?
No, they changed.
That's actually part of the thing.
That's part of the thing,
So the first
I
one
thought
was
one was like pink or
the
something.
first one was like purpley.
it was kind of purple, lavender, I would say,
Yeah.
kind of a lavender purple. And that was called the Citrulesh, and so that was our first edition of the New England IPA. We then came out with this one here. This is the Pulp Addiction. So it was the second iteration, and the third edition is about to come out called Lupulin Burst.
So this is the current.
Yes, but we're right in the middle of the transition, so it's like you might start seeing Lupulin Burst on shelves at the end of this week, next week, or in bars.
What's on draft right now, Zach? Do you know?
They don't have it on draft. They have it in the can.
Yeah, we have it.
So they have it.
We have it in the can, but we have those cans. Yeah.
Okay. We'd have to try that before the night's up.
It's pretty good. I think I like that one better than batch 1.
Then batch 1, okay. I've had it go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's literally been a coin flip. Some people are like, bring back the Citrulesh, and others are like, no, this is fantastic.
Putting
Keep
us
this.
to the stream right now.
Aha, yes. These are all of the beers that we currently have in this location.
Cool.
So this is everything we got.
But I mean, that kind of goes with the New England trend that people are doing now of brewing one batch. I mean, I'm sure y'all brew multiple batches of beer, but
the goal is to keep it going for about 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
The Citrulesh lasts a long
Brewing
time.
multiple times throughout that 3 to 4 months.
Yes, of course. But we want to keep it as fresh as possible. So it's so the goal is under order, kind of over deliver a little bit. In the idea that we'll get a fresh batch in every month, and that last one will sell out. But there's, like I said, there's a couple of reasons for doing this. Is number one, freshness. That you're not sitting you're not just sitting on something that's 3 months old and it's not up to spec anymore. People like innovation, they like new, and we just kind of get to tinker with it because I thought that the first version tasted like straight up guava juice, like Citrulesh was like guava.
I love guava.
Yeah, the second.
that's not a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a great thing. The second iteration, I get a lot of pear, some mango, a little pineapple. And unfortunately, I haven't gotten to try Lupulin Burst yet, so I will have to do an evaluation when that one touches my lips.
Let's go back to what you just said. You mentioned having these interesting flavors like mango and guava and other tropical fruits. And for anybody who's out there and listening, these hazy IPAs or New England IPAs or whatever somebody might happen to be calling it is a totally different process in terms of how they brew it. So instead of having lots of hops during the boil, which takes out all these bitter alpha acids, these IPAs actually might appeal to somebody who has decided they don't like IPAs because these really taste more like juice. You hear that juicy characteristic a lot. So I would definitely recommend both the new Rhino APA and the Any IPA to anybody who's said I don't like IPAs because they're totally different.
I fool people into drinking IPAs all the time. Because I'm able to give people samples of things, and so I'll be like, here, try this. They'll be like, oh, what is it? I'll just say poison or something. I mean, it doesn't matter. And then they'll try it and they go, oh, I really like that. I'm like, a second ago you said you didn't like IPAs, but you really like this. Mm-hmm. And then they're just, you can kind of see their eyes light up, go like, really? Like, this is that like super bitter, like nasty, resiny thing that they come to hate. Now, I mean, the more you get into beer, you like it.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's.
Go ahead.
I think that's true of almost any beer style, though, because if somebody says, I don't like dark beer, well, dark beer can taste like a whole range of things. You can have like a Schwarz beer, which is really just a black lager.
Right.
That's maybe a little bit more chocolatey than a typical lager, but it's super light in body. It's not heavy. It's not like a Guinness. I think people try Guinness and they're like, oh, I don't like that because it's thick and it makes me full. But that's got those nitrogen bubbles, which is doing that. But I think that's really true of any beer style. You can really say, well, I don't like dark beer, but it's probably just because you haven't tried enough dark beers to know if you really like dark beer.
Right. Yeah. There are certain flavors oftentimes people just immediately associate with something, and it's like, no, don't do that. Like, don't just assume. Because I spend literally every day like kind of doing some beer education with people, sampling people on beers, and having to say, hey, I don't like IPAs. Well, don't say that.
Yeah, and you kind of go, okay.
You immediately assume bitter, piney, resinous. You scraped your tongue with a pine cone, essentially. Like when you hear,
and I don't really particularly care for that either.
Right, and that's perfectly understandable. But then I take them a New England IPA and I say, well, no, this is an unfiltered, juicy, fruity, flavored thing. Like, and so when you drink it, look for, like I said, the pear and the mango and the pineapple and flavors like that, and they taste it. Wow, I like how much fruit juice is in this. And same thing with the tart and juicy. In fact, is I tell people it tastes like a grapefruit lemonade.
Yep.
And they take a drink of it. How much grapefruit is in there? I'm like, 0. It's all hops.
I don't really personally taste a lot of grapefruit because I hate grapefruit.
Oh, dude.
I love this beer. I think it's more like citrus rind is what I taste. I taste like if you took an orange peel and you peeled it and you boiled it down. And you got the bitter flavors out of there, maybe added some sugar to it.
Yeah.
It's a little sweet, it's a little tart, but I don't get a ton of grapefruit flavor personally.
So call me crazy. I get the beer equivalent of grapefruit flavor out of it.
Interesting.
So people say like Lakewood IPA has a very grapefruity taste, and I'm like, okay, I can see where that is. That does not taste like grapefruit to me. But if you were to put grapefruit in a beer, I can see where that would be.
It's maybe
that's what I taste out of it. It's kind
maybe like grapefruit without the bitter flavor that you get from
without like the bite or like the ripping apart your mouth with the acid. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't really care for that flavor, but I like this beer a lot. So for me, it's really good.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a fantastic beer. It's just especially I say sour IPA, and people immediately will tell me I don't like sours and I don't like IPAs, and I'm like, well, I bet you've never had this.
You ever had the two together?
Yeah.
Have you ever combined the two, or have you ever had a kettle sour? A lot of them hear sour, they immediately think of like Brett sours. And I'm not the biggest Brett fan myself.
I'm not a Brett fan either, unless it's a small component of a lambic or something.
Yeah, it's not without its place, but
for sure.
I know people that are like all Brett all day, like that's all they want to drink, and I'm like, I don't know how you have taste buds anymore.
This is another thing we should probably qualify for anybody watching the stream. Brett is a wild. Well, it used to be considered wild. Now it's become so cultured that it's really. I don't even know.
Depending on where you get it from, it's still wild.
Yeah,
I mean, people like Jester King are still doing wild.
That, though. They're sort of moving away from the term that Brett is a wild yeast.
Oh, really?
But,
it's become more of a laboratory yeast at this point, just because it's been in the beer world so long. But it's kind of makes these funky, sort of horse blankety, maybe in terms sometimes pineapple or other citrus fruits.
Yeah.
It's a very different type of yeast, and it makes the beer really, really dry.
Yeah,
it really can dry out all the sugars in a beer because that yeast will just eat everything.
Yeah, almost champagne-y. Because
for sure.
I can go into all the science. It breaks down those long chain sugars, and it takes forever to actually do its job. But it can turn out some really interesting flavors.
Yeah, it can.
It can also spoil beer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, winemakers often try to avoid Brett in their wineries.
Right.
Although everything I hear these days is bread is sort of controllable, whereas like bacteria like lactic acid or lactobacillus is not as controllable. That stuff's kind of a nightmare.
You gotta be like real careful with it because it can just spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what kind of happened to Jester King is they didn't always make sours, and now they only make sours. And
well, they claim that that's actually not true.
They do?
What they say. Now I don't know. There's a lot of people that argue against that, but I think eventually what they just decided to do is use their mixed culture, which is mixed culture is basically laboratory yeast mixed with yeast they collect from the air.
Right.
I think they just pitch that in every beer now.
Well, because they have like the cool ship and all this stuff where they can like wildly ferment everything, which is really cool. Like,
it is cool.
Going to their facility, like their facility is awesome.
It is.
I heard something the other day from them saying, they still actually their mixed culture is actually still growing to this day. Like
it's constantly
still,
evolving.
it's constantly evolving.
Which
is kind of interesting. I would be curious to see if anybody could tell differences between the things they make every year and see if you could pick apart their strain.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I have a collection of Jester King beer that goes back to probably 2012 or 2013, and those beers taste way different than they do now. But that's nature. I mean, you can't control what nature wants to do with beer.
Right.
If you're using open fermentation, where you're collecting the yeast that's naturally in the air, it's going to taste different over time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because you might just randomly have a super aggressive yeast that turns it almost just super duper sour versus one that it's a little lighter. It almost acts like a champagne yeast and just dries it out. And it's where the fruit that they add to most of their beers, like you get more of the fruit as opposed to like the acidic taste. So, batch to batch that they do, you can definitely tell.
Now, y'all sour stuff too. Is that the same with y'all? Like
we do. So we have currently 14 fooders, which are big barrels. And for those who don't know, it's a barrel that'll hold 1,000 gallons, essentially. And when you talk to our guy Ant, he knows literally everything in every one of these, and it's actually really cool. But he's our cellarman out in Denver.
Very common in the wine world.
Yes.
Fooders.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's our
14 of them in the beer world is a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a ton.
Yeah, like we actually produce the. I think we're second only to New Belgium in wood-produced beers out of Colorado right now. We have 4,000 plus barrels, the 14 fooders, and they have God knows how many barrels and 65 fooders. So they trounce us just a little bit, but we're very proud to be like even mentioned in the same name as hey, we're barrel producing like that. So
that's called the fooder forest.
Yes, they have the fooder forest. It's really cool to go in there because they actually keep it really dark and everything. And so you walk in, and all you see is just this giant dark room, probably the size of the room of this entire building, if not bigger.
It's large, yeah.
And
65
it's like
fooders have to take up a massive amount of space.
I mean, each one of them is the size of just this section of bar that we're sitting at.
Yeah, they're going to take up a 15 by 15 footprint, probably with the space around them.
I would definitely agree with that, because you obviously have to be able to walk in between them, and so they take up a lot of space.
So let's just say 225 square feet multiplied by 65. I mean, you're talking about, I don't know what that number is.
1,500 square feet.
Oh, wait.
14 to 15,000. Sorry,
say,
I was like, that's ballparking. That's ballparking math, but it should be somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But.
And then you got room for people to walk around.
Right.
Display areas, and there's a bar in there too. So
there's a tiny bar.
Probably a 20,000 square foot building. I bet.
I would not be surprised at all. I mean, their facility is huge. It's actually really cool. If you haven't gotten to go to it, like it's totally worth checking out.
It's probably the neatest brewery I've ever been to.
Well, I loved the tour, man. They actually give you I know some tours will do. It's kind of in and out in 10 minutes. You're done. And even though I could practically give the tour nowadays, I still when I go on vacation, I go brewery tour hunting and like to hear the different variations of what people say and how they do their thing. And there have been some I've been to, and I mean it was 5 minutes long, and I was like, come on, no, I want to know things. I want to learn. And but you go to New Belgium, and it's straight up an hour and a half. they have set times set for it, and it's like, all right, an hour and a half, and you will be on this tour for the entire time, and they do beers at like each section. So you're never like, wow, I'm really out of beer. It's like you get to the next section, and they're like, all right, top up, like let's go.
That's like they have like filling stations, or you're just like.
Yeah, they've got little like kegerators, or some of them, or like their kettle room has a bar in it, which is awesome.
Yeah, they've got a couple kegerators just around, and they just serve you on the tour. Yeah, it's good, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or just like somebody come by in a cart and like.
It's not quite that advanced. It's like a guy's got the paleteria cart, and he's like on his bike, and he's got beer.
Yeah, I was thinking like, well, I mean, they're famous for like their bikes, and so somebody just rides around the brewery on a bike who wants a beer.
That would be awesome.
That would be fantastic.
Just like carrying around growlers in his backpack.
Yeah, exactly.
Check that out. That's a free play Arlington glass. Chris was mentioning that on
Yeah. We
I don't have that.
For our 1 year anniversary, we threw a couple cases of them in there, and I think that's what we're going to switch to from now on is officially free play Arlington rather than Denton or Richardson, because
so what I'm hearing is
when they're here.
What I'm hearing is I should take this home and add it to my collection and get it out of your way. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to say that.
I'm just kidding.
Davis, what else do you want to talk about with regard to Epic? Anything that?
What's your favorite beer
right now?
What's your favorite beer from the place that you work at?
So for the longest time, I had ranted and raved about the Los Locos. I just loved it. I got a funny story about that one too, but
Los Locos, there we are.
Yep, that one right there. But I have really been turned on to Rhino. It's just so drinkable.
Rhino is that on draft?
Yes. So the Rhino is currently on draft. So
that's gonna be my next choice.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic one.
Which actually has a Rhino. Sort of a polygon rhino.
Yeah, I wish I had a picture of it. We have like this neon orange, like almost the exact color you see on the can there. Rhino head that
nice.
Like the guys in Denver will like wear for events. It's like this giant head. It's seriously.
Oh, it's an actual physical thing.
Yeah, like it's cool. Something you can wear. It looks like something. If there was a Rhino character at Chuck E. Cheese,
it would make me like 8 feet tall or something like.
Yeah, exactly. It's this huge thing, so it's awesome. I really wish that I like had one here and could wear it to events. I don't know what the devil I would wear it to. Like I'll wear it to Big Texas Beer Fest if I can get my hands on it.
That would be amazing, and you should put that request in right now.
I've got a couple of months, like I got what 8 months to work that out. Then I guess something like that.
Yeah, let's see. It's almost the end of June, and then Big Texas Beer Fest end of March next year. So.
Is it okay?
Yeah, you're right about 8 months away.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I might have to work on that and see what I can do. That would be awesome. But okay, so Rhino's the new favorite, but Los Locos was really leading the charge for literally like 2 years because I feel it's a very underrated beer. People immediately hear Mexican lager and they go, "Oh, it's a Dos Equis." I go, "No, it is so much more than that. Like it's so much more.
It's a better Dos Equis.
It's just
Dos Equis doesn't have those like lime and salt in it.
Right.
Right, you're expected to put it in there, and it's.
I wouldn't even compare the two. To be perfectly honest,
a lot of people do. It's just because they literally have like nothing else to compare it to.
Yeah,
like there's not a whole lot of like, hey, we already put the lime and salt in there. But although more is starting to come out now, like Sublime from AleSmith and a couple others.
Well, and somebody recently asked me what is a Mexican lager, and honestly, like among a bunch of people that know a lot about beer, none of us had a good answer, other than maybe it's a lager made with some corn.
Yeah, it's usually like, I mean, I think if you talk Dos Equis and Sol and Modelo and all those, I think they do like 100% corn mash, like, and that's really
100%.
Where, like,
wow.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. Okay. But I know ours is a 25% corn mash, which is why you kind of get that little sweetness at the beginning, and then the lime juice and sea salt really take over.
Cool.
But so the story on that, my first trying it was kind of funny. If our Denver head of Colorado sales, John Turk, is listening, he's gonna probably smack me in the head for this one. So I went up.
Him in here somewhere.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I
so, yeah.
Well, I totally went up to Denver for training that first week, and was riding around with Turk, and he goes, "Well, we're gonna go to this Mexican joint for lunch and sit on the rooftop patio." And we're going to drink a Los Locos. And I had been sternly against Mexican lagers just in general, because literally all I'd had is Dos Equis and
This was a couple years back.
Yes, this was literally my first week at Epic, which as a matter of fact, next Friday will be my 3-year anniversary, so it would have been almost exactly. It would have been exactly 3 years ago, almost now.
Awesome. Okay.
Which is kind of awesome.
How did you end up with them? We'll jump back to your story, but how did you end up with them?
I ended up with them. So I was working for Revolver for a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years, as the draft technician, which is kind of the gopher, essentially.
The whipping boy.
The whipping boy, yeah. Go fix this, come do this, go do that. And I'd kind of been going after my certified Cicerone at the same time, so I'd been training myself in beer and learning more about the product. And of course, I was learning more about Revolver's product and hoping, to maybe be a sales rep for them one day, which never happened, but that's okay. And it was actually really funny. So I ran into a guy named Bryce Gonzalez, who is at the time, he was a sales rep for Andrews, the distributor here. And now I think he's I think he's actually the head of their beer education.
At Andrews?
At Andrews, yeah. Okay. So I think he's the head of the beer education there.
And Epic is distributed by Andrews.
By Andrews, yes. Yeah, that's correct. And I had gotten to talking with, I'd run into him on some of our routes.
I was just laughing at Chris's comment here where he said, I'm supposed to first attend you after this.
But I ran into him several times on our routes, and he was like, "Man, you know way too much about beer for being a lowly line cleaner." And I was like, "Well, I'm trying to train myself up, but you got to start somewhere." And one day I was walking through Deep Ellum, cleaning lines, and he drives past me and literally immediately pulls onto a side street and jumps out of his car and goes, "Man, Epic is hiring. You'd be perfect for the job. You want me to put a good word in?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fantastic."
Do that.
Yeah, right. Nobody's gonna say no to a bad word.
Exactly. I was super enthusiastic.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah. The funny thing was immediately after the national head of sales at Epic left.
Was this Darren?
No, Darren is the current national. That's my current boss right now.
Okay. Well, you said somebody else named Turk.
That's the head of Colorado sales.
I see. Gotcha.
So you have a national head of sales, and then under him is Turk, and then you have guys like me, which are
gotcha.
I'm in charge of Texas, but I don't have a official I'm head of anything. I'm just
Darren ended up in that's who I had quoted.
Oh yeah, Darren in there. No, this was a guy. This is a guy named Mike, and it was before I came on, but he decided to leave the company. And so they kind of didn't hire anybody for a while. So literally from the moment he jumped out of the car to yell at me "Hey, Epic is hiring! You should get the job." Took 8 months.
Wow.
before I finally made that jump. I had to reapply, and the whole process was really interesting because they hadn't really posted anything. I think they just sent it to Andrews and were like, "Hey, we're looking for somebody in the area," which is why
that
the
happens
Andrews
a lot in the beer world. That job never ends up as a post because they have an idea who they want to hire.
Yeah, unless you're working for Budweiser, you're not getting hired, but on LinkedIn.
No.
Word of mouth just takes care of itself. Yeah. So I found this out. That's a good plug right there with the sign. I love it.
There we are. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The tart juicy sour.
Like, where is this floating sign? Because I can't see Ray. There's just a sign floating. Where is that coming from?
But yeah, so then they eventually offered me this job, and actually it was awesome because I found out they offered me this job the same day. I was ecstatic, super excited. They'd offered me the job. Yay, I'm moving up in the beer world. I went home and I had an email that said I'd passed the certified Cicerone exam on the same day. So I was like, oh my god,
that was a good day, man.
That was a fantastic day, man. I sat on my patio and drank a 20-year-old bottle of Sam Adams Triple Black and to celebrate.
Did you?
I did. I've been holding on to that bottle but I got one of the good ones.
Really?
It'd been kept.
Was it soy sauce?
No, it was pretty soy saucy, but it didn't have. According to everyone I asked online, they were like, "Oh, did you have to pick out the chunks of cork?" And I was like, "No, I didn't have to do that." Okay, I got a good one.
I've had both, but I think back then it probably was a much different beer than a soy sauce beer. Which it turned into.
Well, which was funny because so working for Revolver at the time, I was working with Grant Wood, who was the head brewmaster for Sam Adams for 16 years.
Right.
And so I sent him a picture, and look what I'm drinking, and he just sent back, "You're a madman."
Yeah, interesting story about Grant. He, and you probably know this, Davis, but he started the Utopia's barrel program.
He did, yeah.
Okay.
So I hounded Grant for a number of years now, and I'm like, when are you going to just recreate the Utopia's program at Revolver? Because, I mean, there's not another beer in the world like Utopia's. It's a naturally fermented, well, I say natural because they're not like doing ice block. They're not freezing the beer to make it higher alcohol.
Right.
It naturally ferments at 28% ABV.
Yeah, 28%.
Which is insane. Most yeast dies, below 20%.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's
that thing's crazy.
It's insanely difficult, and they, if I remember correctly, it's kind of a weird way that they do it because they blend it with what's that sour that they do? I suddenly can't think of the name.
Oh,
of
the
it.
red.
It's called like the Mother Funker or something.
Oh yeah. Cosmic
Mother Funk.
KMF,
That was it. Yeah, the KMF, the Cosmic Mother Funk. I think is like the base beer for a lot of their specialty beers.
Yeah, I think I've heard that too.
And so it makes like the Stony Brook Red. And
I was thinking of Stony Brook Red.
Yeah, and the American Creek, which I wish they would bring to Texas because that beer is fantastic. If you've never tried it, it's great. Like it's an amazing creek.
Is it like a Belgian Creek in any way?
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, I haven't had it literally since I was 21, and I wasn't that educated in beer. So, but you have to go to Boston in order to get it, I think.
Well, they have a few beers like that.
Yeah, they've got a couple.
I actually read something interesting about Sam Adams the other day. They said that because they've expanded into so many other things like hard lemonade and ciders and rosé and all these other products, they're sort of in danger of losing their status as a beer producer with the Brewers Association, which would be a big hit. If more than 50% of your product line in terms of volume is not beer, you can't be considered a brewer anymore.
Really? I didn't know that, so that's kind of an interesting thing.
Which would be a big hit because the Brewers Association relies sort of on that 2 million or so barrels that Sam Adams produces in their 12 or 13% of the marketplace calculation. I think it would probably knock it down a couple of percentage points, which is crazy if you think about it. 6,000-ish breweries make up that 12 or 13%. Sam Adams probably a couple percentage points of it.
Yeah, I think they make up it wasn't a huge amount, but of that 13%, like 1% of them I think is just Sam Adams.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a lot though.
It is. Yeah, people go like, "Oh, it's 1%." It's like that's not much. I'm like, there was that documentary on beer a while back, and they were interviewing Dogfish Head, and I think everybody knows Dogfish Head now.
Yep.
But maybe 10 years ago they didn't, and I said, "Well, how much of the market do you make up?" And he goes, "Oh, about 0.00002%.
Right.
Is our grand total of market share." And I was like, "Man, I thought Dogfish Head was huge, and they are, but but in the grand scheme of things,
Anheuser-Busch is like 40% of the market.
Exactly.
And then Miller Coors is another 25, and that's 2/3 of the market between two companies. And you've got 6,000 craft brewers that make up 11, 12, 13% somewhere in there.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
And that's the fun part about talking in percentages, though.
Yeah, right.
Because all of a sudden you start getting into, we brew 1 million barrels, but.
Oh, and that'll like barely scratch the surface.
Yeah, and you're just like, all right, we have 2% of the market at 1 billion, or like at 5 million barrels, and you're like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually pretty correct, I think.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I'm just pulling these numbers out, like.
Yeah, no, 2% of the market would be probably 5 million barrels.
That's insane.
And we tapped our. I think we tapped out last year with it making. I think it was 32,000 barrels,
which. For those who don't know, that puts Epic probably in the top 30 brewers in America or so.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I think we're one of the more widespread ones for especially how young we are.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people expect us to be 15, 20 years old up there with Sierra Nevada, Ballast Point, Stone, all these guys that are. Avery, who's they're celebrating their 25th anniversary.
Certainly, you're
August.
In the top 25, though, or excuse me, top 50, I would think,
though. Honestly, I would have to check that.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but because you got guys like I'm in production, I honestly wouldn't think that. I know we're one of the most highly rated beers or breweries, but I mean, Revolver does 30,000 barrels.
That's true.
And
They
so
do.
does Lakewood, and so does.
Oh no, Lakewood's nowhere near that number.
I thought they were in the 20s at least.
12 to 15 was last
Are they?
I heard.
Okay, well then
Yeah.
I'm.
What's
Now,
Deep Ellum
I thought
is
they were,
over that
yeah,
number.
Deep Ellum's up there.
I think he said 45,000 last year.
Okay.
I mean, what St. Arnold's doing exactly 100,000. I think now.
About
I
100,000.
was going to say, I know that
Farbach's about
they refuse to go above that because then they're no longer a mid-sized brewery.
Okay.
Okay. I know.
Because I remember but GABF they got number one mid-size,
Yeah.
and then whenever you kind of look into that, you're like, well, they brew like 98,000 barrels, which puts them right at the upper echelon of what you can make in order to be considered mid-size.
Whatever you do, don't touch that number.
They're just like, shut down production, guys.
Yeah, just call it. All right. And, God, I hope they don't hit it in like September or something. Just like, all right, just close it down.
I bet Brock would be happy to go over that number if it was say, if you could get a 20% bump, because then everybody benefits in their value chain. But they actually pulled out of a couple of states because
I was going to say they stay pretty in Texas.
I think now they're only in Texas. They were in Florida and Colorado for a while, and I think they pulled out of both of those. Maybe they're in a neighboring state like Louisiana or Oklahoma.
It wouldn't surprise me if they're in like, that east of Texas, Louisiana area, maybe all the way down into New Orleans. But I don't know about North Louisiana and all that because.
Yeah, I think I had heard they were expanding perhaps into Louisiana and Oklahoma not too long ago. So they pulled back just to Texas, but I think they may be expanding closer to home, which is easier to do. You can send salespeople out to Louisiana a lot easier than you can Colorado or Florida.
Yeah.
Far away from home.
Without a doubt. But yeah, kind of what I was saying. So people are oftentimes expecting us to be, these 20, 25-year-old breweries. People are like, oh, I've heard of Epic before. Like, how long have you guys been around? We're about to celebrate our 8th anniversary.
Okay.
So we're still like, infants.
That's young-ish.
Yeah, it's young-ish. Like
I feel like nowadays it's either you've been around for 20 plus years or you're like less than 5. But to be 8, I feel like you've made it like almost into adolescence.
Yeah, like we're essentially we're a teenager essentially without actually getting into our teens. But yeah, so there's all these ones that kind of got started in the 90s, and because there was the beer boom of the 90s, and then I think what was it, like Anheuser and Miller both like went and tried to buy up as many as they could, and they kind of helped like kill it off. And the macro stuff kind of became reigning king, and then somewhere around. And there were a couple of places that still flourished. So if you go to like Portland, Oregon, you go to Denver, Colorado, San Diego, a few other places that the craft boom never died.
Well, and it's funny because if you talk about a city like Portland, I want to say it's the only city in America that's over 50% consumption by independent brewers. So if you look at all the beer consumption, I think they're right around 51%. Whereas in Texas, they just put out that number for the first time ever.
Oh yeah,
it's about 5%.
Okay,
so
that sounds about right.
They're 10 times as prolific as we are in terms of how many people drink craft beer of the total beer market, which is nuts. Texas still got a long way to go.
I was going to say the amount of people in Texas though is insane.
It is, but there may still be more independent beer drinkers in Portland, Oregon, than the entire state of Texas. I don't know what those numbers shake out to be.
Yeah.
Back to talking in percentages.
Let me do it. Let's go do a survey, guys. Everybody down for a trip to Portland? Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
let me get my calculator out.
I think we've got about 10 minutes left here.
Yeah, okay.
Or so. So I wanted to talk just real quick about sort of Texas beer laws and how they compare a little bit to Utah beer laws, because you guys started in Utah and there's some sort of crazy stuff in Utah.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Let's talk about Texas
real quick. Which is worse because you're from Texas?
Oh, hands down Utah. Like
really,
our guys there do a fantastic job, and I have a lot of pity for them because they are working just this huge uphill battle. It's awful. For instance, like if I want to sell you guys a beer, I come in with a can and sample and say, "Here, try this." They cannot do that. They can hand out like their card and say, "Hey, if you go to the brewery and tell them and call me beforehand, I'll set you up."
Hey,
with some
if
samples.
you make the trouble to get out of your place where you're making money,
right.
where you are not making money anymore to come try my beer, then you're welcome to come and try it.
Yes,
What's
then you can come and
That's
try
going to
it.
be really hard.
It is very, very difficult. Not to mention there's stuff like there's no beer on tap over 3.2%. Like they have the near beer laws.
Okay.
So everything's sold in like package. There's no such thing.
4% though.
Yeah. That's 4% ABW. ABV is 3.2.
Other way around.
Do I have it backwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
3.2%. Which normally when you look at beer, it's alcohol by volume.
Yes.
So 4% alcohol by volume in Utah. I only know this for sure because I just looked it up like.
Oh, did you? Okay.
3 hours
I've been going around for like 3 years telling everybody backwards. So
yeah,
perfect.
alcohol by weight.
It's all
is-
ridiculous
Woohoo.
anyway. So.
Yeah. It's near beer, and that's all you need to know.
For sure. But let's talk real quick about Texas. What I wanted to say was one of the things that's in the legislature right now is this thing where there are 49 states in the country that allow you to walk into a brewery and buy beer to go. Mm-hmm. And Texas is the only state that does not know anything or does not allow anything about on-premise sales to customers unless you're a brew pub. Brew pub just means you're
even Utah will.
Even Utah allows that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Oklahoma just recently started allowing it, so we are now officially behind Oklahoma.
Like we have a bottle shop in our Utah location.
Okay.
So you can go in and buy bottles and leave.
So let's talk about Craft Pack. That's the organization that's sort of been formed, craftpac.org. If you're interested in Texas beer laws, I would highly encourage you to go check those guys out because they're trying to make it where you can walk into a brewery and walk out with a 6-pack or a case. I think that's what they want. Is they want you to be able to buy up to a case, and it's something like maybe a case per month. So that would encourage beer tourism when people come and maybe get us out of that 5%, whereas you got guys like Portland that are 50% independent. So that would be one thing that would move a long way. But let's talk about some of the inane stuff in Utah, because I think Utah's got some really, really crazy stuff.
They've got some crazy stuff. I do want to point out, like, I'm a huge supporter of getting beer sales out of breweries. So, like, if I don't already follow that page and whatnot, I'm definitely going to go and follow them now.
I'm not involved in any way, by the way.
Either it doesn't matter. I
think I might have signed a
Texas
petition at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
That's about as involved as I was in that.
I think Texas has some goofy beer laws, but they are nothing compared to Utah. So number one, they have the low beer. You can't hand out samples and that kind of thing. A lot of stuff is sold in packaging. And for instance, here we have Total Wine and Stacks and Seagulls and all these variety of liquor stores that you can go to. In Utah, they do not have any of those.
Is it all state run?
It is all state run.
Okay.
Really?
So you pull up to a liquor store. It says state run liquor store number blank out front, and they have exactly 41 stores in the entire state of Utah.
In the entire state.
In the entire state, but then they're all like.
Now you can have a convenience store that sells low point beer, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
So
you can go get your 4% stuff at your local Sitco or whatever.
And it's not even Oklahoma where you can go and buy it warm. It's you actually just can't buy it unless it's at a liquor store.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's right.
Yeah.
If it's over 4%, you got to go to a liquor store to get it.
Yeah. And only the low ABV stuff can be stored cold.
Right.
Unless it's something that has to be stored cold. So like your Irish cream, like they usually put that in a cooler or something. But yeah, if you want to go buy a bottle of or a can of Tart and Juicy or something, you have to go buy it warm on a shelf at a liquor store.
And then take it home, chill it.
And take it home and chill it. Like you cannot get it cold.
That's just totally blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like living in the dark ages.
Yeah. It makes things sometimes a little bit easier because instead of selling one case to 50 stores, like apparently it's a nightmare to get them to approve stuff. But once it's like approved, they just go, great, we'll take like 800 cases.
Do they pay like I know in Texas when I drop off a beer shipment at a retailer, they have to pay immediately. Does the state pay you guys immediately for your product?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. Like
I just know government agencies love to take forever to pay for stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally. I know that's a tricky bit here. Like,
we'll sell that on consignment for you.
Pardon?
We'll sell that on consignment.
Yeah,
we'll pay you when it sells.
So if that's the case, do they make stuff in Salt Lake City? Do y'all brew things in Salt Lake City that actually don't get shipped out to?
Oh, tons. Like,
Really?
we actually have something just called the Utah Session Series, which is stuff that can be sold in like any store because it's all the 4% or below.
That's crazy.
We actually just have a wide variety of beers that we love to make and love drinking, but they just aren't what a lot of states are looking for.
Okay.
So we might just have it in Utah. Our Spiral Jetty and Pfeiffer Horn Lager and Captain Crompton's Pale Ale are all ones that have never come to Texas. I'm not sure if they ever will. They're actually approved. They're TABC approved. It just we started with a certain portfolio. That portfolio has changed dramatically, and we just kind of tinker with it as time goes on. So
somebody in chat saying that the beer is state's property on delivery.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a state agency.
No, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've got about 3 minutes left, so I wanted to kind of wrap it up. Zach, do you have any parting thoughts in regards to free play or Epic Brewing before we wrap it up?
I have not tried Rhino yet. I am probably going to do that directly after this. Los Locos is a great beer, and Tart and Juicy is one of the strangest IPAs I've ever had, in a good way.
I do want to address one thing here, though. It says here, can Zach correctly guess the population of Texas? Let's see it. So we were talking about how much
the second most populous state, if I remember correctly. The second or third most populous state.
Yeah.
I would say about 15 mil.
15 million?
I'm going to go 26 million.
26?
I think I last remember, for some reason checked this like a year ago, and I think it was sitting a little over 32 million.
Okay, I'm completely off.
We would have to look it up. I'm sure Chris over here is probably looking it up for us. 28.310.
Hey,
what did you say?
Price was right.
I was going to say, he's got Price's Right number.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go. Well done, sir. Well done.
Davis, where can people find Epic Brewing? What's coming next? Parting thoughts.
Actually, okay. So we've got a couple of awesome things coming out. Actually, in fact, they're getting released on Monday that I'm super excited about. So we just had, like I discussed before, the Rhino came out about a month ago. We have a new version of the New England IPA that will start hitting shelves very shortly. But we do the Brainless series, which if we've got an extra minute or so, I'll tell you a really funny story about that one. But we do the Brainless series. We got Peaches, Cherries, the original Belgian Golden Strong. We did an IPA, so a Belgian IPA at one point, and the raspberries as well, which we do on Nitro now, which is fantastic.
Strange,
but yes, but we actually just came out with the first new one in 5 years called the Brainless Passion. It's passion fruit, Belgian Golden Strong.
Does it smell like passion fruit off the tap?
I still haven't gotten to try it. That's the thing about being an out of state rep. Is that I get to try it when I get to find it. So even though I know, I haven't gotten to try the New England IPA, the Brainless Passion, or the next one I'm going to bring up, simply because it hadn't hit shelves yet. I got to go find it and buy a bottle and drink it, and I'm going to be hunting it down because I'm super excited about it. I love passion fruit, so this is going to be awesome.
I'm gonna probably have to hunt that down too.
Yeah,
I love passion fruit anything.
There's a fair amount of places that are going to be getting it. It is a new year round, so it will be. Fairly common, but definitely grab it if you happen to see it or see it on tap. The other one we're coming out with is the super rare, super limited, literally only made, I think, 570 cases of the Big Bad Baptist Reserve, which is a Grand Cru blend of Baptist, Baptista, and Triple Barrel Baptist, and then we specially selected barrels that we aged them in, and I'm getting a tiny amount. I get 20 cases for all of DFW.
When does that hit Texas?
Monday. So that will officially be in the DFW market.
Civil 4 would be interested in a case.
Oh, would you? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I will have to see. I don't know if anybody's. When does Civil 4 open?
August 1.
August 1.
I have my license now. So if we found something.
We can figure out somewhere to put it.
That might work. I got to see. I wasn't aware of that. So I had them all allocated already. But if anybody declines, I will consider that. That one, it's no draft, all bottle only, no draft even in Colorado or anything like that. I do have a couple of events if I can do a shameless promo here. I'm sorry, it's not going to be at free play, but we are doing ones with some events. If you check my page at Epic Brewing-Texas, I will be posting events as soon as they get made for Thirsty Growler, Good Friend Beer Garden, Lone Star Taps and Caps, both Louisville and Fort Worth, Bluffview Growler, and Lakewood Growler, and Craft and Growler as well. We'll all be hosting tasting events with flights of all of the as many of the Baptists as they can get their hands on. So I think we might have up to all 5 of them. Baptist Reserve, Baptista, Triple Barrel,
When you said Epic
Original.
Brewing Texas, was that a Twitter handle?
No. I'm sorry. It's a Facebook page.
A Facebook page.
It's
so
a Facebook page.
Facebook.com/.
If you just search, I think so. But if you, I'm terrible at social media. I'll be straightforward with you. But if you just search Epic Brewing space Texas, it'll pop right up.
Okay,
Click on it, follow it. Like I said, I'm terrible with social media. I'm trying to improve. Hopefully, stuff like this will help. And follow it, and I'll be posting events and releases and stuff like that as they come along. But a little funny note to end on, so I brought up the Brainless series. This is kind of a brief story. This is the reason it's called the Brainless Belgian series. So the owner, Dave, and Peter, who were business partners for 25 years, ran a brine shrimp company out of
is that
Salt
the
Lake City.
International Aquaculture Company?
Yes, that was it.
Okay,
Yes.
I didn't know what the heck an aquaculture company
Yeah, so
was.
this was like a
what is
brine. This is like a brine shrimp company that they ran for a very long time, and it's a very niche market. So there weren't a whole lot of competitors out there.
Sure.
Like literally, the only competitor was like this Belgian company, and they decided they wanted to kind of move on, try something else. They decided to get into the beer world, and we're going to leave the brine shrimp company, the aquaculture company. And so immediately this other company was like, man, we can essentially have a global monopoly if we just buy them out.
Yep.
So they offered to buy them out, and Dave and Peter stayed on briefly to essentially do consulting to make sure that the company stayed like fluid and that it wasn't going to collapse. Well, apparently they left, and within like a year, the Belgian company had literally just driven this other their baby into the ground.
And they said the only way you could do that is if you're brainless?
Yeah, well, so it was like they were the brainless Belgians who drove this company into the ground, so the brainless Belgian series was born. So that's the whole bit. I know there's a huge circle back to literally an hour ago where it's like, he thinks he's funny and he has all these really good jokes, but nobody gets it unless you explain it. So,
and if you have to explain a joke, it's just not funny.
Well, it's just, I have to tell you the story. If you don't hear the story, nobody knows. But yeah,
this has been a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, this is really good.
Thank you so much.
No, hey, thank you guys for letting me be on here, or for letting me be on here. I really appreciate it.
You got it.
I had a lot of fun, definitely chatting with you guys, and I hope I can participate again in the future. And when round 2 comes in.
Round 2, be ready.
That's right.
Well, thanks, guys. I think we're going to do this again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. I don't know if that's in Arlington or Richardson.
Probably Richardson.
So maybe we won't see Zach next week.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
If you want to come out.
It's been a while since I've been out there.
Come out, man.
We'll see.
Anyway.
No promises yet.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Had a good time. We'll see y'all at Replay soon.
Well, hang on. Wait, all right, we're done?